Everything that you guys have seen today has been because of those three. All I can do is, and all I really like to do is preach. I can't sing very well. I can't do drama. I can't do all those things. But one thing I can do is preach. And don't say amen to that. But it's because not only one thing that we have taken from our pastors is teamwork. And they were an awesome team. These students have dealt with a lot of times when we're tired and everything like that. So I just want to thank them personally. I want to appreciate, and I appreciate every single one of them. Matt, Lindsay, Jackie, all the students that have been a part of this thing and helping things out from designing the shirts and getting the shirts ordered. And I mean, the list goes on. A lot of work gets done when it's time for fine arts. And it wouldn't be possible without a team of these young people. It makes my job easy. It makes it an honor and a privilege to be able to do what I do. And I just want to let the whole church know that I'm thankful that we have students like we have. Amen? Amen. Amen. I'm going to begin our second part of our prison series. How many of y'all enjoyed last week with Pastor Larry on Easter? Amen. Pastor Larry last week began our new series talking about Prison Break. There's more to the story. He talked about the cross, he talked about the tomb, and he talked about who God really is and that there's more to him than just the cross, the tomb, and the things that he did. He did an excellent job with it, bringing. We have quite a few people that got saved last week. This Prison Break series started off with the breakthrough. Amen? Amen. There is more to the story than the things of God. There's more to the story than the things that God has in store for us. It's just plain and simple. Prison Break. There's more to the story. In the show Prison Break, not only did Michael Schofield come up with a plan on how he was going to save his brother, he went into the same prison, into the same place, and walked through the same gate. In order to plans that I have for you, says the Lord. Jesus came up with a plan. He came up with a purpose. And he came up with a goal and an object that it was going to come to pass. The Bible says that his word shall not return void. God has got a plan not only for this generation, for the generation to come, but he's got a plan for us here in this room today. There's more to the story than just coming to church on Sundays and Wednesdays. Because I can tell you this, if you just come to church and you have church on Sunday and just have church on Wednesday, it's going to seem like your life's in a prison. You've got to get around people that are breaking free of things, that know how to get through some rough times. If you're around people that are going through rough times and they're talking bad and they're gossiping and doing all those things that sometimes we love to do and just don't know what else to do but do those things, your life's going to seem like it's in a prison. It's going to seem like you're stuck in a jail cell by yourself. Jesus walked the earth that we're living in today. He walked the same earth. He humbled himself and made himself nothing and came to this earth to meet you right where you are at. Michael Schofield in the show Prison Break, he went to where his brother was at. He knew he was going to have a lot of obstacles. He knew he was going to have to do a lot of things. He knew he was going to have to go through some rough times. He knew he was going to have to make a sacrifice in order to save his brother. Right now, at this very moment, God is watching you. He's thinking of you. He loves you. He cares about you. Right now, at this very moment, he knows exactly where you're at and exactly what you're thinking is crossing your mind. And he also knows your struggles. He also knows what you need to be set free from. He also knows the sacrifice that he did is sufficient. In Philippians 1:12 through 13, now I want you to know, brothers, that what has happened to me has really served the advance of the gospel. As a result, it has become clear to the whole palace guard and everyone else that I am in chains for Christ. Paul was guilty for Christ. My message series that I began this Wednesday night was Escape was just the beginning. I started off doing Prison Break also with the youth. Escape is just the beginning. when Jesus came out of the tomb, it was just the beginning. It was just the beginning of the great things that were going to come. I told our young people this week that Jesus didn't escape the Pharisees. He didn't escape the Romans. He didn't escape the cross. He didn't escape the tomb. He didn't escape death, hell, and the grave. He overcame it. Because he did all those things, because he overcame the cross, death, hell, the grave, and all the struggles and all the temptations that Satan threw his way, we can escape death, hell, and the grave. Amen? Paul was guilty for serving God's kingdom, going to the streets, to the cities, to the people with the gospel. He was not ashamed or intimidated by the laws of man. We saw some of the dramas today that talked about the show of Paul and Silas being put into the prison. Even at the time when they were the loneliest, when they needed God to break through for them the most, they worshipped Him. They sang praises. People thought they were crazy. They were. They were crazy for Christ. They were crazy about doing the things that God has. Because of them, because of their praises, because of their sacrifice, we can come to church today. We have a God that's worthy of praise. We have a God that overcome everything. So why do we struggle? Why do we struggle with sacrifice? Why do we struggle with just coming to church weekly? Why do we struggle with being committed? Why do we struggle with commitment? Why does this generation struggle so much? I can go on and on and on. And the reason being is that there is an enemy. And he wants to overcome you. Because he knows that God has a purpose for each and every one of us.
Amen.
You see, his victory is not in the overall scheme. He knows he already lost. But if he can take one of these young people that were up here doing one of those dramas, you see, statistics says by the time these young people hit 18, 65% of them will walk away from their faith. That's pretty high. 65% of all teenagers right now coming to youth will walk away from the faith. The enemy's after them. He's after not only the purpose they have, but their future, their destiny. He's after our homes. He's after our families. He's after your finances. He wants to make your life like you're in a prison. Paul was guilty for Christ. Paul was guilty as charged. He was a prisoner for Christ and he sacrificed. We as Christians, as prisoners of Christ, need to serve a life sentence. We as Christians need to begin to make a commitment today. Maybe you've already made that commitment. Maybe you've already made that commitment to serving a life sentence for His kingdom. But the problem is somewhere along the line, sometimes we as Christians want to get out on parole. We want to be in the world. We're still in our little prison. We get a little bit of taste of it, and then we become a prisoner for Christ. Then we want to get on house arrest. And we want to live in our homes, have a comfortable prison, have a comfortable cell, maybe. I know a little bit about this stuff. We want to live a little bit comfortable sometimes. And it's good. We get a little taste of the world, and we get a little taste of God's goodness that we're still in prison. We're still in chains. But see, I can leave my cell and I can go and do what I want. I just got to be home by a certain time. I can't go too far from the house. Can't go too far from the prison. Because I may lose on what I have. That's the problem. We try to dibble and dab. We try to ride the fence. We try to say we're going to come to church on Wednesday, but hey, we came to church one time a week. We don't need to go on Sunday morning. It's all right. We go Easter and Christmas. We'll give our tithe and we'll pay our dues. God don't care about that stuff. He cares about you and He cares about your relationship.
Amen.
He wouldn't have done all that He did if it was just going to ask us to show up twice a week.
That's right.
Because we know, all of us know, we need more than that.
Oh, yeah.
We need a God that's able to do breakthroughs in our life. We need a God that can help us get out of the prison of the world. See, that's the thing with some teenagers. I was telling them this week. Some of us are in prison for Christ. We're a prisoner of Him. We obey Him. We do what He asks. And there's some of us that have imprisoned ourselves away from Him. We put walls up. We put bars up. We put all these different things that we're not letting Him in. But that's where God specializes. Because where can we go that can get us away from His love? Where can we go that can separate us from the love that He has for us? Where can we run and hide? We can't. This generation is one that wants to live life free of all boundaries. Jesus was guilty for you. Jesus caught a charge. Jesus had to run in with the law. He got charged so that we can be free. He made a sacrifice so that we can be free. Are you guilty of worshiping God? Are you guilty of serving your pastor? Are you guilty of serving your community? Are you guilty of meeting the needs of other people? Or are you innocent? There's two types of prisoners, guilty and innocent to it. Are you guilty? Or are you innocent? Are you eligible for parole? Are you trying to say, you know what, God, I've got enough of you. I'm ready to get back in the world. I'm all ready to go. Are you ready to give a testimony? When you stand before God, not only will you won't be able to say that you were framed. Will the judge not judge right? In this show, Prison Break, Lincoln was framed. He was framed for a murder that he did not commit. When we stand before God, there is no getting framed and fooling the judge. The judge will judge right. No false evidence or no false testimony is going to change his mind. Currently in the world, it seems to be terrible. People on the streets are doing drugs, getting high on whatever they can get their hands on. Teenagers are shooting each other and killing each other, even on Easter Day. Some of us have heard about that story. On Easter Day, it was a tradition that these gangs get together. They do things on Easter morning. Fights and shooting each other, killing one another. There's wars going on across the seas. There's battles going on right here in this room. It can seem like a tough place. People are murdering, beating, robbing. Prodigal sons and daughters seem hopeless. One encouragement for you parents today: if God hasn't given up on them, neither should you. Amen. If God hasn't given up on your children, neither should you. Amen. I'm not saying aid them in what they're doing, but don't give up on them. Because God's got a purpose and He spoke them into existence, and His word will not return void. Amen. You got to trust in Him. We know it. I understand some of the things you parents go through. Yes, I don't live with your kids, thank God. But when I go down to the altars and I pray with some of them and I hear some of the things that they're dealing with, it does break my heart. To know that they don't realize there's more to the story. There's more to the story of their life. Some of them think that this is the greatest it's going to get. Prison's a depressing place. It's a lonely place. The world seems to be a prison surrounded by nothing but things that are leading to emptiness. But church, there's more to the story. There's more to the story. There's a God that's over the earth. He is powerful and unstoppable. His breath can bring life. His voice can command the storm that you're facing right now to be still. His touch can be transforming. His spirit is freedom. His presence. David said, where can I go? Where can I go from that presence? Where can I hide? No matter where you're at, no walls, no bars, and nobody can stop God from reaching you where you're at. Amen. But where you're at, like Paul and Silas were in that prison, God knew where they were at. He knew what they were struggling with. But He didn't break into their life until they began to worship Him. The walls and the stocks then began to shake until they worshiped Him. It's when you say, God, I sacrifice my life. I'm willing to do whatever it takes. I'm ready now. I'm ready for you to do something in my children's life. I'm ready for you to do something in my finances. I'm ready for this house to be peaceful again. I'm ready for this broken family to come back together. I'm ready for our marriage to be healed. Start worshiping Him. We got to worship Him. We got to give Him praise. What can separate us from His love? There's more to the story to your struggle. There's more to the story to your children's problems. There's more to the story to the things that they deal with. We just got to tell them the story. We got to bring them to church.
Yes.
We got to get them around people that actually care about their future.
Yes.
We got to get them around other teenagers
Yes.
that care about their future. I'm not saying every teenager that comes to youth is perfect. We got teenagers that come every week and their parents aren't even saved. And they show up. We have some that show up to Sunday school and they leave to go to work. We got to tell them the story. We got to do whatever it takes. We as adults, you as parents, are going to have to sacrifice sometimes. What's more important in my child's life? His eternity? Or him not yelling at me and arguing about going to church? What's more important, sending them to camp, or maybe their life can be touched? You realize it only takes one moment in your your child's life can transform. It only takes one experience with God's presence and their life can totally change.
That's right.
Last week, if you didn't bring your child to youth, maybe that could have been their week. Maybe it could have been their moment. Maybe it could have been the time when they received their breakthrough. Does that mean God's not going to do it again? I'm sure He will. But guess what? You're going to have to wait again. You're going to have to sacrifice again. Train a child on which he shall go, and he shall not depart from it. That's God's promise. That's God's word. If God hasn't given up, neither should we. How many of y'all are thankful that God don't give up on us? The worship team's going to come and we're going to close out in praise. We're going to close out in worship. I love to do this on Wednesday nights because sometimes the kids just come down, they just worship, they have their way with God, and I just let God do His thing. Amen. It's not the words that come out of my mouth that make a difference. It's not the hands that I lay on them that make a difference. It's the God that works through this church. It's the God that works through these pastors. It's the God that works through you that make a difference.
Amen. Amen.
Let's don't get by no more. Let's start speaking to things as though they are.
Yes. Yes.
We command our child's destiny. You as a parent can control your child's destiny. You as a parent can hinder your child's destiny. Yes, it can be scary as a parent to raise a teenager nowadays. But that's why you got to get them into church. Because there's some things, I love when parents tell me, they tell me this all the time. I said the same thing to them, Aaron, and they didn't listen to me. It's just something about it when they hear it from a different person, a different angle. Maybe they look at me different. Maybe they looked at the person that was praying with them at the altar different. We serve a God that created the heavens and the earth, that could put the stars in their place.
Amen.
We need to trust Him a little bit more. This whole thing for fine arts is sacrifice. The sacrifice that He did for us. But it's because of that sacrifice that we can break through. It's because of that sacrifice there's more to the story. Are you ready to worship Him? Are you ready to break free? That's how you do it. You worship Him. Because when you worship Him, you're telling God, I humble myself and I exalt you. I decrease that you can increase not only in my life, but in my home, in my children, in my finances, in their daily walk. It's time to let God increase. It's time to put Him back in the driver's seat. Amen?
Amen.
Let's worship Him.
You are the source of life, and I can't be left behind, and no one else will do. And I will take hold of you, 'cause I need you, Jesus, to come to my rescue. Oh, trying to say. You captured me with your grace, and I will follow you.
If you need a touch from the Lord this morning, just make your way to the front. Step out of your comfort zone a little bit. Let it be a representation that, you know what, God, I'm stepping out of this prison that I'm in. And I'm worshiping you. It can be your moment.